Who is the best James Bond? Ever since Sean Connery first took the role of super spy James Bond in the 1962 film Dr. No, several actors have succeeded him. Let's take a look at the ranking of all the actors who have played Bond, the suave spy who saved the world and kissed beautiful women. Number 6. Timothy Dalton. Dalton portrayed Bond in The Living Daylights and License to Kill, the 15th and 16th entries in the franchise. Unlike Roger Moore, who had played Bond as more of a light-hearted playboy, Dalton's portrayal of Bond was darker and more serious. This approach proved to be a double-edged sword. Film critics and fans of Fleming's original novels welcomed a more serious interpretation. However, Dalton's films were criticized for their lack of humor. Some feel that he didn't truly capture the character in as memorable of a way as his predecessors. In 1989 film License to Kill, his second outing as Bond, marked his final appearance in the franchise. Number 5. George Lazenby. In 1968, after Sean Connery had left the role of James Bond, producer Albert R. Broccoli met Lazenby for the first time while they were getting their hair cut at the same barbershop. A few months later, Broccoli offered him an audition. The position was consolidated when Lazenby accidentally punched a professional wrestler, who was acting as stunt coordinator, in the face, impressing Broccoli with his ability to display aggression. His portrayal of James Bond in On Her Majesty's Secret Service was panned by critics, but the film itself was a success financially. Prior to the film release, Lazenby said he no longer wished to play another James Bond role, saying, "The producers made me feel like I was mindless. They disregarded everything I suggested simply because I hadn't been in the film business like them for about 1,000 years." Lazenby's single portrayal of the iconic Bond character, and his lack of standing as a favorite in the series, has resulted in his name being used as a metaphor for forgettable, non-iconic acting efforts in other entertainment franchises. However, Lazenby's film is now well regarded among May fans for its efforts to lend Bond a personal story, and the actor himself is praised for bringing something fresh to the character. Number 4. Pierce Brosnan. Brosnan played Bond in 4 films. The first, 1995's GoldenEye, grossed $350 million worldwide. Brosnan's Bond was somehow more sensitive, more vulnerable, more psychologically complete than the previous ones. Pierce Brosnan took the Bond films into a more modern era of action while he retained the sophistication of his predecessors. Number 3. Roger Moore. After George Lazenby was cast in 1969's On Her Majesty's Secret Service and Connery was enticed back to the role of Bond again for Diamonds Are Forever in 1971, Moore did not consider the possibility of taking on the role until it seemed clear that Connery had stepped down as Bond for good. At that point, Moore was approached, and he accepted the offer in August 1972. He was finally cast as James Bond in Live and Let Die. Moore's Bond was very different from the version created by Ian Fleming. Moore was cast as a seasoned, debonair playboy who would always have a trick or gadget in stock when he needed it. This was designed to serve the contemporary taste of the 1970s. Moore's version of Bond was also known for his sense of humor and witty one-liners, as Moore himself said, "My personality is different from previous Bonds. I'm not that cold-blooded killer type. Which is why I play it mostly for laughs." Roger Moore died in Switzerland in 2017 at the age of 89. Number 2. Daniel Craig. The 5'10" blonde Craig was not considered by some protesters to fit the tall, dark-haired Bond portrayed by the previous Bond actors, to which viewers had apparently become accustomed. Although the choice of Craig was controversial, numerous actors publicly voiced their support. Most notably 4 of the 5 actors who had previously portrayed Bond, Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Pierce Brosnan and Timothy Dalton, called his casting a good decision. The first film, Casino Royale, premiered in November 2006, and grossed a total of $600 million worldwide. After the film was released, Craig's performance received critical acclaim. Craig has stated that his own favorite previous Bond actor is Sean Connery, but says, "I'd never copy somebody else. I would never do an impression of anybody else or try and improve on what they did. That would be a pointless exercise for me." Through the lens of Ian Fleming's classic Casino Royale, Daniel Craig was perfectly cast as a more serious and visceral version of the character. Number 1. Sean Connery. Between 1962 and 1967, Connery played James Bond in Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, and You Only Live Twice, the first 5 Bond films produced by Eon Productions. After departing from the role, Connery returned for the 7th film, Diamonds Are Forever, in 1971. Connery made his final appearance as Bond in Never Say Never Again, a 1983 remake of Thunderball. All 7 films were commercially successful. James Bond, as portrayed by Connery, was selected as the 3rd greatest hero in cinema history by the American Film Institute. Following the release of the film Dr. No in 1962, the line "My name is Bond, James Bond" became a catchphrase that entered the lexicon of Western popular culture. Connery carried it off with icily disdainful style, in full evening dress with a cigarette hanging from his lips. The introduction was a kind of challenge, or seduction, invariably addressed to an enemy. In the early 60s, Connery's James Bond was about as dangerous and sexy as it got on screen. Though many fine actors have played James Bond, none has embodied the role quite as well as its originator. Sean Connery balanced the wry humor, the effortless charm, and the powerful skill of James Bond like no other actor has. His performance has come to define the role for all who've taken it on in his wake. Connery is still king in the eyes of many Bond fans. Connery died in his sleep in October 2020 at the age of 90. James Bond producers released a statement saying Connery had revolutionized the world with his gritty and witty portrayal of the sexy and charismatic secret agent. He is undoubtedly largely responsible for the success of the film series, and we shall be forever grateful to him.